All right, I brought Coach back, and we wanted to come and talk more about what makes Peninsula Wrestling so special. And for me, it's been something I've worked on in my research, and um, feel like really there's a lot we can take away from Peninsula and apply both to communities and schools and even organizations. So I'm going to share a few slides, and Coach and I'll try to walk you through them and share our ideas with as those come up. Um, so for me, I think when I think of Peninsula and my time coaching there and as a youth, uh, and what Coach, I think you're an exceptional motivator. I think that's the big thing that makes you different from other coaches is your ability to to answer this question: how do we get kids to try? And I think that's something I've been trying to study and flush out for a number of years because you see in school so much kids giving up on themselves and all the problems that come about. And I don't know, it seems like maybe kids today, maybe they have a lot more pressures but they give up a lot more. We're losing more and more kids, I guess. And I think that makes your message more important. So do you have any first thoughts on when somebody says you're a great motivator? What do you think of that?
Well, the first thing I know is you have to have a relationship first.
Okay.
And when people think of relationship, they think it has to be this ongoing thing, this very deep thing. But no, it's just relationship is just a connection.
So there's a distinction I think I see a lot of people make when they're new is there's definitely, we have to have a relationship, but to me, a lot of adults now, we make the mistake, it's not a buddy relationship. I don't think the kids think you're their best friend and somebody they play around with, but it's a healthy adult child relationship. Does that make sense?
Well, I tell them, I am not your buddy. I'm not your friend. I'm your coach.
Uh-huh.
I will be addressed as Coach Pittman or Mr. Pittman.
Yes, you do.
I do not go on first name basis,
Uh-huh.
and I'm consistent with that.
Yeah.
And more consistent with my body language in which I say that to them.
Mhm.
Not to put them down, but to say, I will always be here and you will always be here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say that you won't grow, but as you grow, I will grow too. And that distance will pretty much stay the same.
Yeah. Well, do you see maybe others make that mistake? Or so we say, well, you need to have a relationship. Do you see others maybe think that means you got to be the kid's best friend, or parents doing that a lot? Or
Well, one of the things they want to do is they want to fix the kids.
mm-hmm.
And kids are not broken.
Mm-hmm.
And the one thing that I see and I do is I don't expect every kid to get it at the same time. I know they won't get it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm constantly going through my beginning lessons over and over and over again, because if they don't get it, it's because I failed.
Yeah.
Not because they didn't get it, because I failed. And that's what we don't think about.
Yeah.
We think if the kid doesn't get it, he or she fails, but it's the coaches, you didn't communicate it well enough.
I want to show you this next one, Coach. I think, I know this is something you tell all the kids. I guess to me, as in a lot of situations when we're struggling to get kids to try and motivate them to do hard things, a lot of times what we do is we try to make it fun and easy. And we give this idea that, you can just have a good time and be a national champion wrestler, or, have fun and be a world-class scientist. But I think sometimes in that we undermine the idea that all this stuff should be fun, and then kids don't know what to do when it's not fun, or they think they should just quit.
Well, words have definitions, and the definitions of these words, they're different for different people that come into the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, let's say it's like the word love. Love is just a word, until we give it meaning.
Mhm.
I love food. I love cars. We have to give it a meaning. And
Mhm.
that's what, we want them, we want to program them to think about it just as our meaning, not let them have their meaning or listen to what they have to say.
Yeah.
One of the big things is you have to be thankful for these kids. These
Mhm.
kids are really making an effort, and we are constantly putting them in a box.
Yeah.
And they have to be able to get out of that box.
Mhm.
We don't make fun of anyone
Mhm.
because no one's an F student, no one's a D student, everyone's an A student,
Yeah.
everyone. And we find reasons to compliment them because I want them to fail.
Mhm.
This sport is hard,
Right.
and then life is hard.
Mhm.
And at this time, it's easy to fail and come back than it is to fail when you're 30 or 40 and come back.
Yeah,
So I said, I want you to fail.
yeah, I feel like that's where the mistake is. As long as we teach kids that learning should be fun and easy, what does it mean when it's not? And eventually it's not going to be. There are going to be times when it's hard. And if that's a sign that you should quit, or is that just a part of the process of getting better? And I think those are challenging messages to give to kids and be effective at delivering. And I think you have that's one of the things that makes you a motivator is you're able to get kids to push beyond what they think they're capable of.
Well, we have to explain to them it's like losing weight. You lose weight and you reach the point in the second day where your body starts to react.
Mhm.
And your body will say something to your mind about, if you don't feed me, I'm going to make you feel real uncomfortable.
Mhm.
And we all think, yeah, well, we got it. So you really start to feel uncomfortable. You get headaches, you get hunger pain, you see things, and most people, they can't take it and they break.
Mhm.
That's why most of these diets don't work, because your body goes and mind goes through a change of discomfort. And that's why you have to feel comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's been funny. I think a critical element of that too is, and why trust and the relationship is so important, because when you're in those hard times, you need essentially somebody you trust more than you trust yourself.
Yes, well,
You know,
that's the thing right there.
if you're in a tough match and I look over and my coach is, I don't trust my coach or what have you, I'm not going to do what he says and I'm going to bail out. Or he says, keep going, don't give up. But if there's no trust there, those are just words.
Yeah. When when a kid is in a match and you can tell by his body language, excuse me, tell by his or her body language when they need help and they look over at you, your job as a coach is to reinforce you're okay.
Mhm.
You're okay. Just keep doing. Trust the process.
Mhm.
Trust the process. Let them know that it's not about you have to be successful. No, it's just a process. Just put forth effort. Just keep putting forth effort. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell teachers, we develop resilience. We talk about things, try to teach these to kids, not to avoid adversity, but so kids know how to respond to it when it comes. I think again, we're trying to avoid hard times, but they come one way or the other as we're all
Period.
learning.
One of the things that I do for myself is I welcome the pain.
Mhm.
I welcome the hurt
Mhm.
because it's just a part of life.
Mhm.
And you just deal with it.
Mhm.
All of a sudden it doesn't hurt anymore.
Yeah.
When you are wrestling or running a marathon and you hit that wall, and that's when most people quit, but others run right through it.
Yeah. And I
All
think
it is just a mindset.
that kind of gets back to this next idea is success or learning, being good at something. I'm sure you can think of countless examples where if you just keep showing up and trying, putting in the work, those kids far exceed a lot of the more talented kids often. Um, and often that's an overlooked element of success, is just the role of showing up and trying. And I know in schools, that's especially by middle school, it feels like kids start to feel like, oh, school's not for me and I need to find something else. So, giving them that resilience and persistence to see it's part of the process and to stick with it.
Well, the process is to learn, to unlearn, and relearn.
Okay.
That's the thing.
What do
You
you mean
got
by
to
that?
relearn, and that takes trust. You say this isn't the only way, but here's another way. And what I take into consideration is a lot of the kids in their learning style.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm so redundant or repetitious in telling the kid, this is one way of doing a single leg. And it's okay to do it your way as long as the results come out this way.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's good you said that. I guess I was thinking too is I like the idea. I think Nick Saban talks about it. In the past, kids taught and teachers learned. If you were the adult, you just said do this and kids did it. And I think most people would say that's not the case anymore with kids. And we have to really come up with better ways to engage and motivate them, because we can't just take effort for granted.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know what adjustment. I guess the idea, to me, I think we have to get kids want to know that you care about them, and they need to know why. And I guess that's why your skills and the ability to engage and motivate kids today is so critical, because they're not just going to try because you said so.
Well, I ask every kid, how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
Period. And then I put that in my memory bank.
Mm-hmm.
Then I come back on that. Or what do you want out of the program?
Yeah.
This program isn't about winning matches. It's about making you a better person. How far, but then my body language has to have to understand that and accept that. They have to see you in tough situations and how you handle tough situations so they can handle tough situations.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be the way you want, them to handle it, but at least it gives them an idea.
Yeah, and I guess this is just kind of another way of trying to rephrase that. And I think it's a central element of, what makes Peninsula wrestlers a lot of times special. It is that resilience and persistence that you learn. I think those are the things that are great about sports that they can teach. It's hard to be persistent at something you don't like. So sports, often kids are drawn to them. And you're a lot more willing to work hard at something you like doing than math or something you hate. Um,
Well, it's the reason they like sports is they don't grade themselves, you grade them. And the ones that compete against themselves, they know what they're doing.
mm-hmm.
But when we start telling them you are lazy, you got to be better than Johnny, you got potential. See, to me, potential means lazy. So I never tell a kid, well, you have potential. No,
Mm-hmm.
that's not about that. And if they do give up and say, next time we'll go a little further, because a lot of people's pain threshold is not the same as the other person, or a lot of people's mental capacity is not as good as the other person. But next time we'll go even further. That's what success is.
Right, and that's why that just keeps showing up concept. How do we get them to keep trying is such a critical element, because I'm sure you've seen as well. Once the kid quits trying, or once they buy into a label, or think they're not good enough, then they tend to stop right there or regress.
Well, the kids really don't give up. It's their parents that give up.
Hmm.
One of the things that we do at Peninsula that is so great is that the end of the class, we end it on a good note.
Mhm.
You're okay. I will see you tomorrow.
Mhm.
Do a good job. Do something nice for someone. It's not being graded that you were a dummy. You didn't do this right, and you didn't do that right.
Mhm.
And it's always looking me in the eye, tell me who you are, and we shake hands, and we go from there.
Well, I wanted to share here. I'll share. So here's a couple of things that, through these talks and through a lot of reading and research, I think these are a lot of the critical elements that what makes you successful and Peninsula successful. And I think the challenge of what we want to help schools do is, we've talked a lot, that first question we ask before we're going to try and take chances at things is this a safe place? Like you were just saying, or
Yeah,
if I make a mistake, are people going to laugh at me and ridicule me? So I think the first thing we have to do if we want to get kids to try and take chances and work hard is we have to create that environment where it's okay to make mistakes.
exactly. My whole premise or
Mhm.
system is based on this tree,
Yeah.
everything. And
Uh-huh.
it's based on, this is what the skills that they have to get bigger roots, just like this. They have to have a safe place. And it's safe for them, not safe for me, but safe for them.
Right. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well, we can talk more about that. I guess the second thing I think, and this is where it comes a lot down to your how we're teaching kids to believe in themselves is do you believe hard work's going to pay off? Is there something you could do, right? Why would I try to do something that's hard if my efforts aren't going to help? Does that
Well,
make
my job is to catch kids doing things right,
mm-hmm.
catch them studying. You don't care what they're studying, just catch them studying.
Yeah.
I always walk around the room and say, "Hey, great, that was a great job, Pete. Great finish. Just keep moving your feet. Good job."
Mm-hmm.
Everyone likes recognition. Everyone, and it's just saying their name or pointing them out in front of a group of the job that they did is awesome.
Yeah, and I
Singing happy birthday to them,
it's
just little
scary.
things like that.
Yeah, it's scary sometimes how hungry kids can be for just a few kind words.
And then that's it. A few kind words.
Yeah, you realize they really don't hear it.
Well, that's why be nice, be nice, be nice is so important.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only are you working with the kids, you're also working with their families. Because the only thing they see are the negative things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're not a good student. You did this and you did that. Oh my gosh. No one makes a mistake on purpose. No one.
Yeah,
That's my belief.
yeah. And I
They make a mistake because they don't have all the information or they're not in a safe place.
mm-hmm.
So they choose to they give it to peer pressure.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good point. I think a lot of times you see the mistakes and we evaluate the kid, like you're saying, and that's what kind of undermines then that sense of agency and sense of community. Once we start telling them they're not good enough because they made this mistake, as opposed to being corrective. I don't think anybody that's ever wrestled for you would say you don't give corrective feedback or you don't have high expectations or you don't correct kids when they're doing the wrong things. Um, so it's not permissiveness.
Well, one of the things, we don't punish at Peninsula. We don't
Hmm.
we don't punish. We talk about things. It's
Hmm.
about consequences for your actions.
Hmm.
That's all it is. These were your actions. And those weren't the standards of the group.
Hmm.
Was the group walking in one line? Was the group paying attention?
Hmm.
And that's what we have. We don't punish. And once they figure that out, then that's half of it right there.
Yeah, it's funny. Like at first they think they're getting away with stuff, and then, then they're like, "Oh, maybe I should just stop doing that."
Or say things like, no one respects a clown.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, that's, you don't have to do that to get my attention or to get so-and-so's attention.
Mm-hmm.
Or who disrupts them, separate them. That's all. See, these things are simple if we want them to succeed or to be successful. And success to me is just overcoming where you started from.
Mm-hmm.
That's all.
Mm-hmm.
And just working hard to keep an open mind and always stay in the mindset of a beginner.
Yeah.
I say that. One of the things we do is when we get in our big circle, we ask the best wrestler to ask the most obvious question. So kids know it's okay to ask these questions. If so-and-so asked that question, I can ask that question too, because I didn't understand it either. So, you set that up. So you have an environment or a circle where it's okay to ask a question that you don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to make sure you answer the question so they understand it.
Yeah, and that's a neat point. I think one thing I've learned is helping teachers identify and cultivate those leaders in their classroom and to use them. I think, like you see a lot of times your successful teams, they have leaders and those people set the standard and they help police the behavior of the rest of the class or the rest of the team. Um, but
Leaders are self-appointed.
okay.
We want to appoint them. Well, you be the leader, you be the captain. Now, a lot of people don't have the ability
Mm-hmm.
to be the captain. The
Yeah.
worst kid might have great leadership skills. It's like these gang members.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine a gang member, what skills they have in recruiting kids?
Yeah.
And if we
Yeah.
took that and put that in the classroom and say, okay, lead this class, just
Yeah.
imagine that.
Yeah, you
But
make a great point. A lot of times we'll select the one we want to be the leader, but
yes,
the kids know who's the leader.
thank you.
They know. And
They know, and they gravitate to that
yeah,
person.
and the teachers will make the mistake sometimes, if the leader isn't who you want it to be, then you fight with the leader and it's sort of a power struggle. Um, as opposed to learning how to shape and guide that leader, say, teach them how to lead. So I think
Well, one of the things is you got to, as a coach, teacher, or someone, you got to know when to shut up,
okay.
and you got to know which battles to fight. And kids, everyone wants to be right.
Mhm.
So just let them be right because they're going to do what you want them to do or have to do anyway.
Mhm.
But at least let them keep their dignity. I let everyone be right. Hey, it's okay. Fine. But this is the way we're going to do it here. Period. And fail. I want you to fail, but I also want you to try. And you do everything slowly so you can appreciate the failure.
Mhm.
How everyone wants to do things fast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just slow it down.
Mhm.
Slow it down.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing. I think another element that makes Peninsula last the test of time is you stay to your, whether it's wrestling or in your leadership and motivation style, you stay true to your fundamentals. And then you
Yeah.
you have a foundation you can adapt from and build. But I think, like you said, you see so many places they go too fast and then they're going here and they're going there and they're just constantly changing. Peninsula's been doing the same moves for 50 years and it's been working. Some kids take it their own way.
Well, there's only X amount of moves that you start out with in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
We keep trying to invent new stuff. You don't invent new stuff. The kids invent it with their style and their body chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
But the basics are still the same.
Yeah.
It's all like geometry in motion.
Yeah.
Just movement, stance, paying attention. The
Yeah.
thing that get most kids in trouble when they're on the mat or even in the classroom is they hesitate. You can't hesitate. You have to just go for it.
Mhm.
Period. Go for it and accept the consequences. And
Well,
that's it.
cool, Coach. Let's wrap up for today, but maybe later in the week we can talk. I'll try to share, make some new slides about, what you do to create how do you create a community? What are, 3 or 4 things schools or other community groups or even businesses and families, how can they, create this warm environment? I know you make it look easy now and because you've done it for 50 years, but maybe see if you can pick your brain and go back and what were some critical things that really built the community that stood that test of time.
Okay, well, I can just say one thing. My definition of community is not Northeast Portland.
Mm-hmm.
My definition of community is the whole state of Oregon, the whole United States, is wherever I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't limit myself. And I give my program to the community. Let them reap the rewards of it. These kids come out of your community, whether it's in Washington or Oregon, and I give them the credit. I don't need the credit.
Well, and let's talk more in the future. I think, a challenge when new teachers, new coaches is having that confidence to trust yourself when things go wrong. Just like the kids, a lot of times you'll see adults, we panic too. Um, and that's why to me, it's when those things go bad, you return to your foundation and your principles. And that's why you try to really invest in teaching those and making those a daily part of your program.
Yes, but it all begins with you in the morning when you get up.
Mm-hmm.
You got to just, hey, you got to go in there with the right frame of mind.
Mm-hmm.
I love myself. I'm learning. And I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I believe. Period.
All right.
I'm not going to let fear or all these things ruin my day or run my life.
I know. All right, Coach.
Okay?
I'll get this to you and we'll talk later in the week. Thank
Hey,
you.
have a marvelous day, okay?
All right, buddy. Take care.
Take